Hey, it's Aran here. Welcome to a tech tutorial on Systeme.io. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you two critical steps you must do at the beginning of setting up your website so you can launch your business. Now, these two steps are to do with your custom domain name and your custom email address. A custom domain name simply refers to the name of your business and the URL that you see at the top of your website. In my case, you see there is aranbukai.com as an example. Another URL I have is aranfunnels.com. Another example of a website that I have is websitediycourse.com, and so on and so forth. Systeme.io allows you to create or connect a domain name to Systeme without having to have a Systeme.io in the name right here. So I'm going to show you how to connect it. The second thing is being able to send emails from Systeme.io, because Systeme.io is a replacement to software tools like ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, MailerLite, GetResponse, Aweber. Any of these email marketing software tools, Systeme.io can do the same function. And that function, it covers in sending two types of emails. One is called newsletters, which is typically a broadcast. It's known as a broadcast when you're sending an email in real time. So let's just say in about 3 hours at the time of recording, I'm actually doing a group call in my tech support membership, for example. And I wanted to send a reminder to people to let them know, hey, reminder, in 3 hours, I'm hosting my co-working session and group Q&A. Please join me. And I send that. Additionally, I'm going to want to send an email to my general email list with some sort of a promotional email to promote a networking event that I host every month. And this networking event is to help them to find more customers and just to give me a chance to get to know more people, basically. So I want to remind them, hey, in the beginning of the month or once a month, I host this networking event and I send an email. That's a broadcast email or a newsletter. The second type of email is an email autoresponder or an email sequence or a nurturing sequence. Now, this is something that you have set up on your website, and that setup basically means that when somebody downloads your free PDF or free ebook or checklist or template or watch a free training or whatever freebie you are giving away, freebie being a lead magnet or list builder, there are different names people use for it, you then trigger a sequence of emails that immediately delivers the PDF to them. Or a day later says, hey, did you see the PDF? What did you think of it? And it follows up. A week later says, hey, you got the PDF a week ago. Wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. And creating that email sequence that can go for dozens of emails or even hundreds of emails. You could do it every day. You could do it every 3 days. You could do it once a week. Whatever sequence you create, and that is basically an email sequence that is automated. So it triggers and just goes on and on as part of your automation. So that's the two types of emails that Systeme.io lets you do. Now, you may know all of this, and that's okay. But in Systeme.io, there's two housekeeping matters that you have to take care of in order to create that automation and set these things up. And these two functions, I wanted to show you in a very simple tutorial how to set it up. Now, what I've just explained is the why. Why are we even setting this up? Why is this important? Okay. So now that you understand why this is important, I want you to pay attention to me actually setting it up. So we're going to start with connecting what is called the mailing settings. Okay. So I want you to pay attention right here. This is the mailing settings right here. All right. So we're going to start with that. Now, once we do that, you're going to click on setup, which is this one right here. Okay. Now, before you click on this, you want to add the correct email address. Now, thanks and shout out to my customer, Liz, who lets me use her account for this tutorial. I really appreciate it. And basically, this is a custom email address. you will notice that this email address is different to this email address, which is a Gmail. So basically this is just a Gmail account, and you cannot send broadcast or autoresponder emails from a Gmail account in Systeme.io. You have to have a custom email address, and you need to basically give permission to Systeme.io to send emails using this email address. Now, the way to do that is very simple. You're going to click on Setup. Now you're going to enter the domain name. In this case, it is bluefarmhousemusic.com. Then you're going to click on Continue. Now, notice I did not type www. You're just typing in the domain name without the www. This is important. Now, you have these details right here. Now, what you're going to do is these are called CNAME records, okay? Now, CNAME records simply means records that you set up and they are related to the name of your domain name. So the name of the domain name is bluefarmhousemusic.com, okay? So this record is relating to that. Now, what we're gonna do is we're going to go to her web hosting company and the domain where she bought the domain name. In her case, she bought the domain name from DreamHost. Now, DreamHost is one of many. There is other ones like SiteGround, there is HostGator, there is domain.com, which is the one that I use. There is Ventrape, which is the one that I recommend in Australia. There is Brixley, which is the one I recommend in the UK. There is so many of them. GoDaddy, whatever, right? They may all look different. And it might be overwhelming because they do look different. So if you are struggling and you want help with what I'm showing you here, you should be aware that I have a tech support membership where I have a tech coach that actually does this with my members and helps them to do that. Typically, he would be on Zoom right now with Liz actually doing this, but I did want to take the opportunity to just record this tutorial so people can see how to do it as well in case you're not in my membership. And if you're not in my membership and you want to get help, you can also just pay for a one-time fee for my tech coach to hop on a Zoom call. There'll be a link somewhere around this video or below in the description, depending on where you're watching this. Now, what we do is we add a record. Now, before we add a record, we just have to do a couple of things. We're going to click on domain names. We're going to click on manage domains in this case. Now we will find an actual domain name and we're going to click right here on DNS. Okay, so pay attention. There is this thing right here called DNS. So now we're going to click on it. Once we're there, DNS stands for Domain Name Services. And we will see all of these details right here. Now there are two things we need to pay attention. First of all, you will need to see that the name servers are correct. Now the name servers more often than not are going to be pointing toward the server of the company where the domain is owned. Now I know this might sound confusing, but basically this is really simple. When you buy a domain name like bluefarmhousemusic.com or ranbukai.com or whatever, that is one thing. Domain name, just the name itself, is one thing. Where things are hosted is called a server. Okay, now that server, these records are basically telling the domain provider, which in this case it's DreamHost, where should we point this domain? Where should we host this domain? And in some cases, maybe I will have, for example, ns1.godaddy.com. What it means is that the name servers are going to be pointing toward a different hosting company, because I can own the domain in DreamHost, but my hosting is with GoDaddy. If that's the case, you're not going to see any of the records basically above. Okay, so any of these records, you will not even see them available at all if the name servers are pointing elsewhere. Because the name servers are pointing to DreamHost, then you are seeing these records. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to look for CNAME records. So notice there is CNAME And here is an example, right? There is CNAME record. This is one. And let's just have a look to see if there's any others. There is no others. So what it means is that we're going to add CNAME records. Now remember, we've got a few of them here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this right here. Usually you don't need to copy this part. Sometimes you do, depending on the provider. We're going to just copy this part. So pay attention, I'm copying this. And then I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on Add Record. I'm going to click on CNAME. Then I'm going to paste in the details that I just copied. And here is why I don't need to copy this whole thing, because this whole thing is already included. Okay, so I will add the dot. Then I'm going to type in on points 2, and I'm going to copy this part, inbound.systeme.io. I'm going to point it here. Okay, now I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to copy this part. Click on Control C. You can also do it like this. I use a keyword shortcut. Paste it in. I'm going to go back to email settings. I'm going to copy this. Right click, copy. Points 2. Right click, paste. I'm going to click on add more. I'm going to go back. I'm going to copy this part. Copy. Go back. Right click, paste. Go back to system, copy this part or highlight this part, copy, go back to DreamHost, type it in, paste. And now that I've done all of this, I'm going to type in add records. Now it says the host name is invalid. So let's just see what we need to do to fix that. Okay, so I've done it correctly. Now the issue was I had the dot. So you see how it says here, system SIO 2052377. I basically copied the dot as well, and I did not need to copy the dot. Only this part without the dot for all of these. Okay, so now that I've done it without the dot, it worked perfectly. And you can see the 3 records right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to X here, and you will see that this is now pending. You see how it changed to pending? Right here, it changed to pending. So now I just need to wait, and it will be a few hours and it will work perfectly fine. So now we've done the first step, which is mailing settings. Okay. Now what we're going to do is the next vital step, and that is custom domains right here. We're going to click on custom domains. So we're going to click here on custom domains. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on add domain. Now, here is really important. You are going to type in www, and you're going to grab the name of the full domain name. Copy. www.domainname, in this case, bluefarmhousemusic.com. Okay, pay attention. Again, I just want to make sure that you see this. Type it in right here. And once you've done that, you're going to click on save as well. So let's just click on save, just this button right here. Okay, I'm going to click on save. And now it's going to populate a bunch of records for me, 2 more CNAME records. Now here they are. Now in this case, I'm going to copy this thing right here. Again, I may or may not need the dot. We'll see. I'm going to click here, click on copy, go to DreamHost. And now I'm going to click again on add record. I'm going to scroll down, click on CNAME, and I'm going to click here on points 2, click on paste, and then I'm going to type in www. Now notice this is what I did. I'm basically typed this in and this. So just www, copy this. So basically I'm pointing this domain to this host. Now I'm going to click on add more. I'm going to go back to system. I'm going to copy this record, and again, do it up until the dot, no more. Right click, copy, DreamHost, paste it in, go back to custom domains in system, copy this whole thing, right click, copy, go to DreamHost, right click, paste, and here's the record. Now I'm going to click on add records. It said it cannot coexist with the same records. Now I have to just wait to see what I did wrong on this. Sometimes when you are here after you enter the name and email, the domain name, you're not seeing it here. All you gotta do is simply refresh this button right here, and then you will see it. Because you might accidentally close it like I just did. Then I click on show instructions, and then you'll see the records again. Okay, so I've added the records successfully. This is not really relevant for this tutorial, but in this particular example, they just happen to have another record that was conflicting, but that's because they had the website on WordPress previously. If you're buying a brand new domain, you will not have this problem, so you got nothing to worry about. Now you can see the domain records right here, exactly like I showed you. And now we're gonna click here. We're going to refresh. Now it's going to still say pending validation, but what we're gonna do is we're going to test it. Now the way we're gonna test it, we're gonna type in dnschecker.org, okay? So pay attention to the URL that I just typed at the very top, dnschecker.org, okay? Now I'm going to click on enter, and I'm going to search right here for the CNAME. So we're gonna type it in right here. And now we're going to type in www.blue. Let's just grab it. It's a long domain. bluefarmhousemusic.com. Okay, www. And now we're going to click on search. Now, when we click on search, we should be able to see a lot of things in green. Usually, it might not be because it might take a while, but let's just click and see. If you're not seeing the green, that means sometimes that it's actually not set up yet. And that could be because it just takes a little bit of time. In this particular case, because I have made some changes and it was previously pointing to WordPress, now it's not, this might take a little bit longer than usual. But chances are that this was done correctly and you will start seeing green. If let's say I pick another website that I have, like website DIYcourse.com, you would do a search, you will see it's all pointing correctly. So give it a bit of time, you will see it very soon once you enter and correct all these details. You will also see that with DreamHost, you can see we are currently processing your update, okay? So it is still refreshing the DNS, it is not done. Once it hits 100%, I can probably go back here and type it in the details again, and it will probably be just fine. So it's just a matter of time to be patient and so on. Once you have the domain name set up correctly, you're gonna wanna click to whatever funnel you are using. And in the funnel, you're gonna wanna click on funnel settings right here on the top right. And then you're going to see the domain name here, right? So you're gonna type in and click on it. And now this domain name is going to be the one that you're building this funnel on. If you have more funnels or more domain names connected to system, you can choose which one it is. So if you're just getting started with system, typically you will have a domain name like this, which is something.system.io. And now when you're ready and things are connected, you're gonna wanna change it to this and save it. This is applicable both whether you're in the funnels area right here. So pay attention to where I'm showing, whether you're in the funnels area, or also if you're under blogs, the same thing applies. So you'll notice that if I'm on the blogs, the same thing happens. I'm gonna go to blogs, and then I'm going, right now, this is the domain name. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to right click, or click right here on this button, this gear button, okay? I'm gonna click on it, and then I can change the domain name, okay? So let's just do that right now. Sorry, this is not where you do it. You click on the title of the blog, whichever blog it is. Once you're here, you're gonna click on blog settings, and you're going to change the blog domain right here, okay? So now that I've got the blog domain, I'm gonna click on it like this, click it like that, and you see that this will automatically change basically. So it doesn't matter if it's blog or it's not, or it's funnels, the process is the same on changing the domain name. So you can start sharing the link the way you want it. Once you have it set up the way you want it, you can click right here. You can see it will say copied, and then you can share it basically. Now, if I was to type it in right now, you will see it's probably not live yet because it's still doing the changes. As you can see, it still says 45% propagated. So this might take a little bit longer. So you just gotta be patient. It's still processing. Once it's done, it will be all good to go, okay? So you can see it's still not done. So that can take 24, 48 hours. If you're not sure if you did it the right way, again, you can contact my team, and you can also always email the support team of Systeme.io and yeah, send something to them. What I usually do is I go to my email, systeme.io, support@systeme.io, and I type in the domain name, and I type in hello system support, and then I've got a link, like a shortener, domain system, like this. It's just a text shortener, and basically automatically types in hello system support. I am helping a client to set up their system, which is connected to the domain name. Please check if we installed it correctly. This is the system subdomain, and this is the domain name. So the system subdomain, the domain name is this one. The system subdomain is, I think it's lessons with liz.systeme.io. Let's just double check. Yeah, so this is the system subdomain, lessons with liz.systeme.io. So now I have this email ready. I'm going to send this over, click on send, and hopefully that will be all that is needed. So there you go. This is the complete tutorial. Two very important things: custom domain, and the second thing is mailing settings. Make sure you set that up. This is a very important housekeeping issue when you're setting up your Systeme.io website. That's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions for me, leave a comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're in my membership, you're welcome to connect with me on the usual help desk, or connect with my tech coach to get help with this. That's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll speak to you soon.